or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Evening to all of our viewers and listeners around the world. My name is Brother Nathan Vicente, and here with me today is my fellow co-host,
Sister Jade Carlos.
Yes. So if you've been following our recent broadcasts, you've noticed that we've had a particular theme in this past month of broadcasts. It's all about spring sports. Now, it's important to note that not all sports can be played outside. Like today, it's a bit rainy, it's a bit overcast, right? So sometimes it might be more preferable to stay inside and do a sport. So today we have a different kind of sport that we are used to, and I think we've had like a golf broadcast, we've had a tennis broadcast, but this is something a little different, right? Today we're going to be talking all about chess. We're going to have chess chats, right, Sister Jaden? That's right. And so we have a very special guest with us today, if he wants to introduce himself.
Hello, I'm Brother Aaron. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, thank you for having.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Brother Aaron. All right, so let's just get straight into it. So first things first, Brother Aaron, how did you get into chess?
So I got into chess when I was like 8 years old. My dad randomly pulled up a chessboard and started teaching me how to play chess. At first, I was like a little bored at it at first. It's crazy. But I felt like moving the pieces, having control over it, was like really empowering.
Sure, yeah. It's almost like satisfying because chess is kind of all about like strategy. It's definitely a mental game, right? And so actually, before we go any further, in case any viewers or listeners are unfamiliar with the game of chess, we'll do a quick rundown of the pieces and the basic rules of chess. So we could do like a quick rundown of the pieces. So let's start off with what piece do you want to start off with? What do you think is like the most important piece?
It probably is the pawn.
Okay, the pawn.
So this one right here.
This one right here.
They line up the second row, blocking all the pieces.
Right.
And it's like a good support, so the pieces don't just go after each other right away.
Sure, yeah. And how do they like move? How do they?
They only move forwards and they can't go backwards.
Right. And then I believe, when they're on the starting line, if that's what you call it, they can hop 2 squares up front. But after that, they can only go one square at a time, right? So, and then you start off with 8, right? I can count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, you start off with 8 pawns, right? So that's, the piece you have the most of. And then we can let's move on to the rook, right? The rook right here. So you have 2 rooks, and they are put at the ends of the board. And how do they move, Brother Aaron?
They move horizontally or vertically.
And they can go as far as they want.
Oh yeah, that too.
As long as there's no other piece in the way, they can't jump over any other pieces. You can go as far along as the board as you'd like.
Right. And then we'll actually skip the knight because I feel like that might be the most complicated piece.
So we'll save that for last.
We'll save that for last. We'll go to the bishop, right? This is called the bishop. Get a close up on that.
I call this one the salt shaker.
Oh my god.
The salt and pepper shaker right here. Okay, and how does this piece move for there?
Diagonally. So only stays on the same color.
Right.
And again, you can move as far as you want, as long as there's no piece in the way.
And you get 2. You get 2 bishops.
You get 2 of pretty much everything except for the king and queen and the pawns.
Exactly. All right, and then we'll move on to the queen. Perhaps the most powerful.
The bigger salt
piece.
shaker.
The bigger salt shaker. And how does this piece move for there?
It actually moves all directions, making it the most powerful piece.
Right.
And it moves as much as it wants, as long as nothing blocks its way.
Exactly.
The only move it can't make is the move that the knight makes.
Exactly.
Which is what
we'll
explain.
Get to in just a second. But yeah, so diagonally, side to side, up and down.
As many
spaces as possible, right? And then last but not least, we have the knight. So perhaps, the most...
How about the king?
Oh, yeah, we totally forgot about the king. Okay, backtrack.
The most important piece.
This would be,
This is our game changer right here.
Our life in the game.
Exactly.
And our most useless piece.
One space all around.
Exactly. So it can basically move in a square. All the surrounding squares next to it that touch the square that is on, it can move too, but that's it.
I think it's really funny when there's like a moment where it's pretty much just the 2 kings left and they just chase each other around. Have you ever had something like that?
Those endgames are pretty tough because
they are,
the pawns are then rushing towards the end. so they can like revive another piece, like a queen or a rook.
Right. So that's another rule we have. So let's say this whole part of the board is already cleared. If his pawn makes it all the way to the end, he can exchange it for any piece that he wants that was already taken. So we might see that a little later as an example.
Oh.
That's
And then
right.
our last but not least,
Okay, yeah, now we can get to the knight.
the
Oh
cutest
my
piece.
goodness.
So yeah, this is probably the most complex piece, right?
Yes.
So the way I learned is I just think of it as it can only move in L
Else.
shapes.
Mm.
So like it can go like that. I don't know if the
You
overhead
wanna
shot
take
is
that
catching
aerial
it,
shot,
but
or no?
it can go like here. And what's also special about this piece is that it can hop over pieces, right, Brother Aaron?
Yes.
That has a unique ability because none of the other pieces can do that, right?
Mhm.
So that's pretty much all the pieces, right? We didn't miss any.
Yes.
All right, so that's just a quick rundown of all the pieces and what they do and their abilities on the chessboard. And then so now we can kind of move into the basic rules of chess, right? So
Mm.
when you start, usually what starts first?
White goes first.
White goes first.
And
That's
then
right.
black second.
And then black second. That's right. And then we have what's called there's like terminology, right? So you mentioned one before, end game.
Yeah.
That's like when you're towards the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then there's also what's the
You're in check or checkmate.
checkmate? Yeah, check
Oh.
or checkmate.
Mhm.
Check is when
The king is under attack,
Mhm.
and you have to do something about it.
right,
Because the king is alive. If you don't do something about it, then you'll just lose the game.
and
Right.
that's what's called checkmate,
I
right?
get
Yeah.
so frustrated when they just keep going check, 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 checkmate over and over again. And then checkmate is just when it's over. Like,
Yes.
And I believe it's common practice, when you've been beaten, exactly, when you've been beaten and you've been checkmated, you put your king down, right? That's the sign that you lost.
Yes.
accept defeat.
Accept defeat, exactly. What other terminologies are there?
Oh, there's
Um,
also it's like a story beginning past, present, future.
Right.
This one is beginning, middle, and end. So
Okay.
after the opening, which is the beginning,
Opening, that's right.
once we like get away from the opening, like the basic theory, it turns into a whole new game. That's when it becomes the middle game or mid game.
Mid game.
And after the mid game, where all the pieces are kind of gone, that's when we get into the end game where we're trying to revive those pieces.
Right.
Oh,
And ultimately we reach the end of the game, hence the name.
I didn't even know that.
Any other basic terminology we're missing? Is that pretty much it?
I think there's also stalemate, which is
Okay.
draw.
Oh, there you
Good.
go.
Good, yeah.
So there are, I think, 3 ways to get a stalemate. When you repeat moves, agree to make a draw, or if no piece moves, like if no pawn moves, or if no piece is taken after 50 turns, which is a lot, then it'll be a draw.
I
Okay.
see,
So what
okay.
does a draw mean for our viewers who don't know?
So a draw means a tie.
A tie,
A
yeah.
tie.
There you go. It's high. Okay.
And then we also have here a chess clock, right? This is what it's called. And
Ooh.
it's not, it does. You don't need it to play chess, but it's a type of chess, right? What do they call it?
Time chess.
Time chess, right?
There you go.
Tournaments.
And so you're basically given, if I'm not mistaken, like a certain amount of time,
Mm.
and you either lose by losing, your pieces, or you get checkmated, or it's possible you can lose by time. You can run out of time. Never been my strongest suit. I mean, I was never a good chess player to begin with, but it's also just another factor to consider when you're playing. You have to always keep in mind how much time you have left, right? So yeah, just another added layer or another added rule of a certain variant of chess.
Brother, would you say you're a more defensive player or offensive
Oh, good
player?
question.
I feel recently I've been playing more offensively because
Okay.
I try to trade all the pieces to go to the end game right away.
Mm.
So they're like, oh, I can't really do anything. So we have to calculate more strictly on where our king is going one space at a time.
I see.
Man, it sounds like he's
Interesting.
gonna beat you really hard.
Interesting. So, you mentioned, being like a more offensive-oriented player, at least recently, and that can kind of include, how you start off the game, what we call our openings, right? So, what would you consider your favorite opening when you start off a game? When you start off
Ooh.
white or black?
I like to start off with the king's pawn and then
Okay.
It's nicknamed like the Spanish opening,
Okay.
where we kind of get these two pieces out to get everyone, all the officers in chess
Mhm.
moving right away.
Oh, it's a good way of putting it. Office. I like that.
Officers.
Yeah.
Man,
I see.
I wouldn't even think of that because I'm like, if I move my pawn from my king, that's immediately leaving the king open. But
That's a good
That's-
point too, right?
that's pretty good. You can move any of those three.
Because from what I know of chess, very little, but I was always told, it's good to get your pieces out like as fast as possible, like in the beginning, so that you can control the board.
Mm.
I think it's a common, I don't know what you want to call it, but I was always taught to try and control the 4 middle squares of
The
the board,
center.
right? The center. Because once you control the center, you can gradually take control of the game and hopefully checkmate your opponent, right? So what other openings do you know or do you like using?
If I'm feeling funny and I want to kind of troll people when I play, I sometimes go for like when the opening goes out. I'm sorry, when the queen goes out right away. So it's like a 3-move checkmate.
I know. Okay, I know what you're getting at.
That one is fun when they don't know what they're doing.
Oh, my mom does that to me all the time. Like my mom would do that to me all the time.
We can actually demonstrate it because it's a very fast, right?
okay.
So
Okay,
if you want to start,
an unknowing.
and then I believe, right, and then
There's like
you wanna-
another variant where
Uh-huh.
if they see what you're doing, you can kind of trap their rook. I mean, take their rook.
take the rook, yeah, and it's a good way to get up really fast in the game, get an up on your opponent. So I think the correct counter for this would be the knight
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
but for players who haven't seen this opening before, they might try and do this to
Yeah.
take the queen, right? But then, okay, you can go ahead.
And then there's the queen can go here to take the pawn, and it attacks the king while attacking the rook.
That's called a
fork.
fork. That's another thing we missed, I think, right? Another terminology of chess.
Man, I don't know any of this. I'm just observing.
A fork is basically when a piece attacks 2 pieces at once, right, Brother Aaron?
Yes.
So like what this queen is doing right here, it's attacking the king, it's checking the king, and then it's also attacking the rook.
So what would the unknowing player do? Put this one in place to
It's a
block
good
it?
question.
Yeah.
What would you do, Brother Aaron? In
For
this
me
situation?
personally, I think I would move the horse because after we block, the rook will be taken,
Right,
and then the horse will be in danger.
right.
So if we move the horse out of danger already, then we can start moving the other pieces into the game.
Right. I mean, it's pretty evident by now, you're going to lose your rook, but at least you can save your knight, right?
Yeah.
So you can block the check here, but then
And
you're
then-
going to lose the rook. But that's okay. It's not the end of the game. There's still hope. There's still a chance. So yeah, and then, by now you already have a 6-point advantage. Oh, we didn't even go through the point system, huh?
Ooh.
I didn't even know there's a point
Yeah.
system.
Okay, very quickly. So if I'm not mistaken, right, it's
Pawns are worth 1.
1,
Rooks 5.
5.
Bishops and knights are 3.
Mm-hmm.
King is invaluable because if you could lose the king, the game is lost.
Mm-hmm.
And the queen is 9 points.
9 points. Got it.
Do they use the point system to determine a winner?
The point system doesn't really matter a lot. It's just a way to gauge who's winning or
Who's
not.
winning?
But
Oh,
it's not always accurate because
right.
sometimes if you're like down a queen, you lost 9 points, right? But if you look at the board, there's already a checkmate on the next move. So
Mhm.
sometimes it depends on the situation.
Okay. And then so to
Right.
finish off this play right here that we were talking about, so I'm guessing this would try to move. I don't know. I don't know.
So
Or
if you-
then
yeah,
the horse would move here.
If you were
maybe,
in
I
my
don't know.
position, Brother Aaron, how would you defend?
He's trying to
this?
defend by
So right now it's actually we'll try to develop the other side because we can't really move this piece, which is
Right.
another term called pin.
Mm,
So the king is behind the piece. So if you move the piece, then the king will be taken.
Mhm.
So
Right.
you can't move that piece, which is what we call a pin.
a pin. So it has to stay there so it keeps the king from becoming in check, right?
Yeah.
So you would suggest developing your pieces here
Yeah.
to try and get, try to catch up to your opponent, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just a quick example of a opening. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you. It's a pretty quick way to lose. But now that you've seen it before, hopefully you can avoid that
You
happening
know what?
to you.
Speaking of openings, we talked about how white always goes first. Do you have a preference? Do you prefer being first or being the one to like kind of go off of the first move?
I think being an offensive player, I want to go first, so then I can react to how my opponent reacts, which is kind of weird,
Mm.
because I go like middle pawn to the center. If they go like for a slow move, then I'll just move all my pieces out. If they challenge the center, I'll be like, I'll try to target their pieces that support the center.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay, okay.
So yeah, so if you can't tell by now, chess is a very strategic and it's all about the mental
I
game,
think it's
right?
fascinating because there's like a million different moves you can make, and each one, what I all I remember is that when I would play chess, I would think ahead like 3 or 4 moves,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
Whoa.
and try to guess every possible response that my opponent would make,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd still lose.
But actually, that's a good point. And it's also, what makes time chess even more difficult because,
Right.
like what you mentioned, Sister Jaden, you're trying to like evaluate where your pieces are, and you're also trying to think about what your opponent's thinking.
Mhm.
That obviously takes time and effort, and you'll feel pressured if you're
If you
on
have
the
a-
clock.
you have
So
a-
it's just again, another added factor or variant of the game of chess.
Mm.
So I guess moving on. I think did we cover? Do you, since you're a more offensively oriented player, do you prefer playing white or do you prefer playing black?
Oh, white.
White.
Going
Okay,
first,
going
having the
first.
initiative.
I see.
Mm.
I find that interesting because you said you like reacting to
No, he said he likes to react to their reactions.
their reactions,
Yeah.
and they're reacting to you, reacting to that.
It's a cycle. It's crazy.
It really is interesting.
So I think we've talked a lot about the game itself.
Mhm.
So why don't we have these two brothers start playing a game
Whoa,
while
what?
while
I think that's all
ask...
the time we have left for today. I think we can end.
No. Let's see the skills put to the test since our brothers know so much about chess.
I
And
really
while we're
don't.
playing, hopefully it's not too distracting. I'm gonna try and ask you some questions about your personal chess experience.
Okay, multitasking.
Really quick though, just so we could get a gauge. So in chess we have ratings, right, Brother Aaron?
Yes.
So for the viewers' context, what's your rating?
Currently, it's 1700.
Which is really good.
Like out of like how many people?
Like the highest is like number one in the world is like 3,300. But the grandmasters are usually 2,500.
What is a grandmaster?
He's almost there.
What is a grandmaster?
Oh, a grandmaster is like a top player in chess, really good, and they actually make a living off chess.
Mhm. Like they're basically professionals, right?
Right. There's this show that I've seen. It's about chess and it covers pretty much all of this.
Mm.
And I remember the main character would enter these competitions to make money.
Mhm.
So yeah, it does give you bank. All right. So let's go ahead and start the match. And lucky for you, you're going first. We're not going to use the clock though because
Please no.
we don't want to make it harder than it already is. So okay, let's go ahead and start, and then we'll go ahead and ask you some questions too.
All right.
Okay.
Out with the pawns.
So yeah,
So-
like Brother Aaron said, he's a rating of 1700. I am an unranked player. I don't play chess at all. I did a little bit, maybe a couple years ago. I had a big chess phase, but I've kind of fallen off since then.
How do you receive a rank?
Oh, a rank? I'm not really too sure about that. But there are like official ranks, like FIDE, some chess organizations that will give you like an official rank for their tournaments. But usually chess.com is like, or other chess apps give you like your elo based on if you win your games or not.
Oh, okay. So
Right.
where did you get your ranks?
Ooh, chess.com.
Okay, there you
Mhm.
go.
And so if you like lose a game, then your rating your rating goes down.
Yeah.
But if you win a game, your rating goes up by like a margin of maybe 8 points, right?
Yeah.
It depends on like the rating of your opponent. So if you beat an opponent
Like
that's
way
higher than
above.
you, then your own rating will go up.
It
a
might
lot,
go up
right?
30 points.
Yeah, depending on how skilled your opponent is. So if I beat Brother Aaron, I'll probably go up like 2,000, 2,000, which is not
Big
gonna happen.
if. No, I'm just
Big
kidding.
if,
I'm just
big
kidding.
if. Okay, so I'll go here.
Okay, Brother Aaron, as you continue playing, what is your favorite memory tied to playing chess? Like, I know you mentioned your dad taught you how to play. So do you have a specific memory in mind?
Like a memory I had is actually about me losing.
Okay,
And-
let's hear.
It's because the pawn was open and I actually castled where you move the king twice and the
Mm.
rook next to it. But then I moved the king one space, so I couldn't guard the corner square, and the king was blocked on the other side. So what my opponent did, she put her rook at the corner, and I got checkmate.
Oh, so it's like a learning experience memory kind of thing.
But what's worse, I helped my opponent get out of a situation. I'm like, she was thinking hard about a move. Oh, I give up. Like, I don't know. Like, wait, no, there's this one move.
Why would you?
Oh my
Oh, you're
He's just
too
such a nice
You're
player.
Too nice.
That's interesting though. It seems like you really remember that loss very well. It's like stuck in your brain. Because if so, you castled, and then in that way, you almost like kind of cornered your king and kind of set them up for a checkmate.
Yes.
That's that's a tough way to lose. Yeah.
Wait, so is it true that once you put your hand on a piece, you have to commit?
Oh, it's another term, right? Touch
Touch
move.
move.
Mhm.
Okay, so but you can move it anywhere, but once you touch it, it has to be that piece, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see.
Do you remember what
here.
it felt like to win your first game?
First game?
Mm-hmm.
Not really. It's more of like practice when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
But the first game I remember winning, it was like really fun because it's like, yes, I won, but the game itself was what you call this, really interesting because he boxed my queen in, and then I just started pushing pawns to get the queen out.
Mm.
I'm
Oh,
laughing because I already knew I made a mistake.
What?
It's been a while. I'm pretty rusty.
well, if you made a mistake, I didn't catch it.
He's handicapped with the questions.
I guess I'll castle.
Okay, let's see. And if I really wanted to, right, I could just forfeit right now. Well, I'm not going to. For the sake of the broadcast, I'm not going to.
Oh,
but if
touch,
we weren't live,
touch
touch
move.
move.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. And then while he's trying to
Alright,
think about his move.
let's make things interesting.
Oh.
Go here. Check.
Whoa.
Oh, he's already okay.
Oh my. What? I guess I don't want to ruin the pawn structure, so I'll move my queen out
Okay.
at the same time.
Can take the other
So
one.
if we're
too.
going by points, right, it'd be 3-3.
Yeah,
Mhm.
equal.
So they're band for band.
You know, I'll take it. I'm good with a tie. I'm gonna forfeit here. I'm just kidding.
Actually, if you forfeit, I win.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But forfeit is a loss.
If
Yeah.
you draw, there you go. I know we have to wrap this up quickly, so before. So what? Okay, 2 more questions for you. What is
Okay.
your favorite thing about playing chess?
I think my favorite thing about chess is how you actually can move the pieces how you want them and they'll just follow you. So it's all about your decisions, and if you made a wrong one, then you know you should improve that decision later on
Mm.
when you played it again.
That can be applicable to like real life situations
I was about to
as
say,
well.
yeah, there's a lot of life lessons to be learned in chess, right? Patience, accountability. What else? Don't give up. That's a good one. Resilience.
Perseverance. There you
Even
go.
if your opponent is 2,000 points ratings ahead of you, you still try and do your best, like what I'm doing now.
What advice? This is our last question for today, just so that we can focus on the game after this. What advice would you give to someone who's just started playing chess?
If you just started playing chess, I would advise you to not focus on your rating or elo and focus rather on the skills and strategies and mainly having fun. Because when you play a certain strategy on the board, you have this sense of achievement, being able to actually enact an idea you had in your mind. So focus more on having fun and not the actual ratings.
Right. Because it's like this is a sport, and what I like about this sport is that it's not very much a physical aspect; it's more of a mental thing, and it's really nice to be able to like strategize, like you said. And I bet there's like books out there that talk about all the different plays you can do. And oh my goodness.
I'm gonna need one of those books right now. I'm pretty stuck.
All right, so let's see what the brothers can do in our last 2 minutes. And then those in the live chat, our viewers watching, let us know if you know any moves in particular, any plays. Do we have any chess experts?
Oh, I know there's a few in our district. We had a regional, or we had a Unity Games not too long ago, and we had a good participation amongst our brethren.
And as our brothers continue, I'm going to go ahead and promote some of our upcoming activities in the district. So April 27th, we have our CFO Cares or CFO Day at 3 p.m. in Montclair. April 27th as well, Montclair's 30th anniversary. Happy anniversary, Paul.
Happy anniversary.
And then May 4th, May the 4th be with you. We have choir special gathering. So a lot to look forward to. And then I want our brothers to continue. So we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. I'm going to go ahead and give my special thanks to our brother Eduardo V. Manalo, our executive minister, brother Angelo Aranio V. Manalo, our CFO coordinator and CEBSI CEO, brother Wally Tarai, our station manager, brother Hansel F. De Dios, a check, our district minister, brother Andres Nicolas Jr., our district CFO overseer, brother Emmanuel Andaya, our executive producer, and last but not least, our INCRadio techs who are always working hard behind the scenes. So thank you to all of these. And it looks like you guys are like tied.
Still tied.
To the point.
I'll take it.
According to the point system. I can't believe you already sacrificed your queens.
Trying to get the game over with. But actually, it's pretty bad for me. I'm not sure if I should say why though.
No, please do. I need help.
There's no clock, but the pressure's on.
Because there's like an open file to my king, but without the queens, you can't really act on it. Because the open file, you can get the rooks in the game. So more pieces.
All right, brothers, you have 30 seconds.
All right, okay. I'll go.
If we had a longer broadcast, this would be really good.
I'm gonna castle. I'm just gonna copy Brother Aaron.
Goodness, it's almost identical. Since we only have like maybe 30 seconds left, you want to have a draw?
Let's do a draw.
Yeah. All right. Well, next time we'll try to determine off the camera. But yes, thank you so much to all of our viewers for joining us today. Thank you, Brother Aaron, for joining us, and there's some wonderful chess chats. And Brother Nathan for participating as well. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for teaching all of us. And that about wraps up our show for today. That's all the time we have left. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll go ahead and pass it over to INCRadio San Diego.